and welcome to the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. The grandstands are packed, the cars have made their way to the grid, and we're minutes away from lights out. With good opportunities to overtake at the end of the Wellington and Hangar Straights, there's a lot of potential for close action around the 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit. With 18 corners and average lap speeds of around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the longest and quickest circuits on the calendar.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to Invictus Racing League's F2 division, brought to you by Nailcut Hall Hotel Golf and Country Club and in partnership with gridfinder.com and Driver61. My name is Webbo, and we're really looking forward to this season finale of the F2 division, and we have a title showdown on hand for you as well. Obviously, this is it now for the championship. It's Ginger Tiger versus Ivan Belov, who will start down in 9th position. Ginger Tiger, a 128.174, beats his teammate by 0.3 of a second. Then Joe Hamster in 3rd, the overtaking master. Then we've got OfficRed, Cool 132, and Nitric Ash in 6th. Keza in 7th, Ivan Belov 9th, Ivan Belov 8th, Simon Palmer 9th, Mr. Steam 10th, followed by Smoke and Kuipers, who didn't get a dry tyre lap set. And Rents points out that Ivan always has a problem when he's battling other drivers. Well, I know that nerves are a factor, and certainly you wouldn't want a champion who hadn't proved himself in the thick of the action. But I'm sure that it's definitely the test of a driver's skill. Can they move through the field or not? But tremendous qualifying. I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, press the like button for us right now. The rain is teeming it down. This is far more like Silverstone than what we saw in yesterday's race. Absolutely chucking it down. I don't think there'll be much competition for tyre decision on the cars. And we will, regardless of any racing rules for on-track action, we will have a standing start. But it could all get a bit messy into the first slow corners when everyone's discovering just how late or early they need to brake. Also, one to watch out for is pit lane entry when it's raining like this. Really, really hard for the drivers. And Ben says the last 10 to 15 minutes should be dry. Now, is Jeff usually ahead or behind of real space and time? I do think he's significantly different quite often, but I seem to remember that rain usually arrives or lasts earlier than is usually predicted, but let's wait and see. But yeah, as I say, absolutely chucking it down. A reminder, and I'm sorry if I've said this too often, but Ginger Tiger is behind Ivan Belov by 5 points with fewer wins, so he must outscore Ivan Belov by 6. A win and a fastest lap with Ivan Belov on 3rd place will only just be enough. So he needs his teammate to do him the favours of being behind him, and no more favours like we saw last week. And he needs Ivan Belov to finish 3rd or worse, as long as he gets the win and the fastest lap. If it gets more complicated than that, then we will have to work hard to work out all the points. But the point system, if anyone is watching along and would like to help me out, the point system is 15 for first, 12, 10, 8, 6 for 5th place, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the bottom 5 positions in the points, with a bonus point for fastest lap. So Ben says he wasn't at fault last week. Fair enough. I wouldn't start that flame war in the chat, but yeah, it was still contact between a championship leader and one of the teammates of his rivals. Which way that contact went, I shall not proffer an opinion at this point. But then we start the formation lap with the Aston Martins on top. I'm fully expecting this to be it's Inters. Well, everybody has chosen intermediates, and well, the look of the rain in the pit lane was suggesting to me that would be wet tyres. But hey, obviously Everybody's gone for inters here, which will last the whole race distance. They won't have to change tyres. Rent says Ginger, Cool and Steen are his predictions. So he's predicting de facto there a Ginger Tiger Championship win. Well, he's in the best position to start this race. He's got a good teammate behind him. Ben often has more speed on track than Ginger Tiger, particularly towards the latter stages of tyre stints. But it's whether Ben would be free to unlock that pace, to be on a different strategy. This is absolutely fascinating with the drivers. How are they going to work this one out? How are they going to decide about pit stops? Obviously, the leader will have the most to lose from a pitting decision. Yeah, absolutely thrilling 26 laps. And if it's anything like yesterday, these laps are going to zoom by. And it's a job to keep up with all the action, even though we've got 12 cars, all the permutations. Ivan, of course, has a big job to do here to get himself onto the podium. But, of course, his main factor, the main focus of Ivan's race will have to be where Ginger Tiger currently lies. And if he's more than 2 places in front or behind him, he won't always know where he is. He'll have to be asking Jeff frequently, unless he's taking the high-risk strategy of listening into the commentary, or maybe he's got somebody spotting on the stream for him. Well, the drivers arrive on the Hamilton Straight for their grid places. We say thank you to our sponsors, and those are Nailcut Hall, Hotel Golf and Country Club, and our partners gridfinder.com and Driver 61. And we look forward to a season finale here for Formula 2. I'll try and get you a good camera angle just as soon as I can. So a season full of racing comes down to this. Hold those revs, drop the clutch, and go, go, go. You can see Ginger Tiger getting some wheel spin, the car bouncing slightly away from the line, but he's clear ahead in the front. He's clear ahead of his teammate, who is carefully treading, tiptoeing behind him so as not to cause a problem. Down the inside of Cool 132 tries Nitric Ash, but Cool 132 will have room on the outside to hold that position. Ivan Beloff is behind this group. They have he's managed to gain 1 place already. Champion-elect here, and Nitro on the offensive. Ivan Beloff taking it steady and easy on the way through the corners. We can see some drivers moving out from the car behind. Is that just to get out of the spray? I think so, rather than actually having a go or an attempt here at a move. Ivan Beloff has made it 1 place, of course, so far. So has Kuipers, now 2 for Kuipers, as he manages to get Mr. Steen as well. And Ivan Beloff somewhat helplessly just having to watch what happens in front of him. He is keeping, I say, watch what's going on. He gets much better speed through Cop's corner, but runs into the back of Nitric Ash. I wonder if that has caused even the slightest bit of front wing damage. He'll have to be super careful with any contact after that point. Of course, he was quite rightfully pointing out to everybody in the driver chat that we should all be careful tonight, be on our best behaviour. Well, maybe not for the first time. He might be reminded in the chat room to watch his own advice. He might go for a move here down into Vale corner, but no way through. As you were then from the start, with the exception of Ivan Beloff making up that 1 place, and Kuipers up 2. Mr. Steen and Smoke both dropping down a place. Ginger Tiger gets the first fastest lap on the board, but it will obviously change significantly from that. All the drivers are on intermediate tyres, don't forget, in these conditions, and the closest battle here is Nitric Ash on the back of Cool. So Ivan Beloff has survived lap 1, so has Ginger Tiger, and that couldn't be said last night. Nitric Ash turns around, making the job a lot easier for Ivan Beloff, who takes no second invitation to nip on by. In fact, though, Keza on the attack behind Ivan Beloff, and he'll have to be careful here down into Brooklands. Burmeister says, dry up Kuipers on the Meister setup. So he's gone back, he's reverted to the Burmeister setup, has brother-in-law Kuipers tonight. And there he is, up 3 positions so far, although, of course, making one from Nitro's spin on the way out of the Village Aintree complex. Keeping an eye then on Ivan Beloff, but Ginger Tiger still leads the race from Ben Roberts by 3/4 of a second. Joe Hamster's in 3rd place and holding station, then OfficRed and Cool 132 pretty close behind. Ivan Beloff in 6th place, and certainly within range, within a shout of a slipstream down the hangar straight here on the back of Cool 132. Then comes Keza and Simon Palmer, Kuipers, Mr. Steen, Smoke and Nitrogash. Here comes Ivan Beloff down the outside of Cool 132, and that's brave. That is very, very decisive, brave work from Ivan Beloff at this stage. Up 3 places now from the start on lap 3. So obviously getting the job done. Rain lights flashing. That's not ERS on the back of the cars. That is a rain light flashing. So nobody can get that indication that their rival in front is derating or run out of charge. Keza was momentarily very, very close there to Cool 132. Taking a wide entry into Village, and on the way out, Rent saying the Brooklyn corner is the trickiest braking zone. I've never heard it called that. That was a piece of car flying off in the background. That was Smoke 132, who has left the session. Is that Mr. Steen? Must have been a collision between Smoke and Mr. Steen. I saw a Ferrari M plate go begging. There's a VSC been announced already. VSC on lap 3 in the rain. That looked to be contact between Smoke and Mr. Steen, and Smoke is out of the race. So going from crossing the line first last week to a DNF on lap 3 of the season finale. What a shame for Smoke. Smoke has an invitation to join us in the commentary booth if he wishes to talk us through what happened and the way the race continues to run. But we're still under VSC conditions. I'm going to say, oh no! What on earth is just going on? Ben Roberts crashes into the back of Ginger Tiger as we ride on board and ends his race. That was just Ginger Tiger slowing for the safety car Delta, I believe, on the way into Stowe Corner. And now that's another place Ivan Beloff can gain. That is potential rear of the car damage on Ginger Tiger. And that is a massive deal for this race. Absolutely incredible stuff to see his teammate run into the back of him, Ben Roberts. Well, at least Ivan Beloff can know that both of the championship contenders have had contact with Ben Roberts. But in the last 2 races, absolutely incredible stuff. I was not expecting anything like that. Keza gets a massive snap of oversteer on the way out of the corner. Once again, we see a car really struggling on acceleration, and through they go. Burmeister says that Ginger was slowing for the Delta, and potentially Ben was asleep at the wheel. Crazy, Ben, absolutely crazy. How did you see it? You can come in and join the commentary if you wish to, Ben, and talk us through. I doubt that you would, though. But you're very welcome if you can cool down and keep it clean. Wow, let's take stock. Lap 4, and Ivan Beloff is up 4 places from his starting 8th, with needing to get himself on the podium. Then we have in front of him OfficRed, Joe Hamster and Ginger Tiger, all with a decent gap between each other for any similar problems like that. Then behind Ivan Beloff in 5th, Cool 132, Simon Palmer, Kuipers, you see on screen, Keza, Nitro and Mr. Steen somewhat further back, having, I think, stopped for damage repairs. The big question for me, has Ginger Tiger got some sort of damage on the car? Ben says he didn't expect Ginger to be so slow. Well, absolutely. But presumably he was slowing for the same Delta that I'm assuming you were having to slow for. Or maybe you weren't playing it quite so risky. Spray coming off the back of Cool 132 here. Quick check on the stops. It was only Mr. Steen who has stopped currently. So Simon Palmer with great acceleration on the way out of Aintree, draws alongside. No DRS, of course, because it's raining. He's got the inside line into Brooklands. He's counter steering. He's 3 or 4 attempts to get a good line into the corner, but clearly through on the way to Lovefield. He's got the outside line here. That should give him enough grip to power on, slingshot out of the corner and through into Woodcut. He goes, gaining a place then. Simon Palmer up 4, just like Ivan Beloff, and OfficRed has picked up a penalty, and that will be music to Ivan Beloff's ears to see that little flag indication on OfficRed's car. That, I think, almost means potential championship winning 3rd place position for Ivan Beloff on lap 5, but let's not speak too soon. It is obviously way too early to be counting anything like that, but Rent says if he doesn't, if Ginger didn't get floor damage as a result of that contact, then there's something wrong with the damage model. I would definitely agree, but I do seem to find that the game tends to heavily penalise the car behind, either in contact or to trigger a spin, far more than it does the car in front. So whether the game is coded more towards reality or more towards the defending driver, I find it difficult to make a judgment at this stage. Ivan Beloff is 1.2 seconds behind the 3-second wearing OfficRed at this stage in 4th, but that is enough at the moment. That is enough to win the championship, as long as Ginger Tiger doesn't hold the fastest lap at the end. Smoke obviously feeling a little dejected in the driver chat about his season overall, and it's certainly a poor end to the season can definitely leave someone feeling that way, very understandably. But there have been some key highlights, Smoke, so try to take the highlights away, and everything is new next season, I should say, in a few weeks' time. Bit of a force of habit talking about years evolving instead of seasons. So we typically have 2 seasons or even 3 into every calendar year. Cars line astern on the way down the hangar straight here from 5th place Simon Palmer back to his teammate Keza in 8th, but no way through at the moment. You've got to be so much faster than the driver in front to hang on through Maggots, Beckett's and Chappell and all the way down the hangar straight. Joe Hamster gets a new fastest lap of 1:38.9, just beating the new fastest lap by Ginger Tiger, and Simon Palmer gets one as well. So track seeming to improve here versus the current tyre conditions for the majority of the field. So lap 7 of 26. The rain's still falling, as you can see on screen. Ivan Beloff 7 tenths behind OfficRed in front, but waiting to see if he can get hold of that DRS when it dries out. Kuiper's alongside Cool 132. Down into Brooklands they go. Cool 132 trying to hang on now on the outside of Brooklands to get the inside line into Lovefield, and he's almost there. Tantalizingly close on the way through. I think Kuipers will probably have the speed and just get the nose ahead here, but Cool 132 won't let him get away too quickly as they go through Copse Corner. Cool has also got Keza right behind him. Fantastic racing, high quality driving from these guys so far, as the rain falls almost sideways across the screen through Maggots and Beckett's. Ivan Beloff very, very close here, 2 tenths of a second behind OfficRed, but I don't think he's going to be close enough for a challenge. Let's quickly go back to these guys in the midfield. No way through either. So Rent says he's re-watching the accident, and he says maybe some desync. Ben's wheels and wing were coming off before he hit Ginger. I don't know if that will favour Ginger. That sense of desync will favour him in terms of getting the damage or not. The level of coding that has to go into whether to inflict damage and by how much, dependent on factors like desync, must be tremendously complex, way above my pay grade. I just complain about it all the time. Ivan Beloff then down into Brooklands once again, right behind Office Red. And then we've got Keza. I thought he might make a move there into Brooklands, but no way through just yet. You're almost relying on the guy in front making a mistake at this stage, which you can try to push by forcing an error, being really, really close, distracting them, doing whatever you can. Ivan Beloff can stay behind Office really well through Copse. Will he be able to hang on all the way through Maggots and Beckett's? Let's ride with him. Let's see if the car washes out suddenly. Mr. Steen retires from the session, and that's the second of our popular drivers tonight in the live chat gone. Mr. Steen and Smoke out. Unfortunately, didn't catch what happened to Mr. Steen. Looks to be in the pits. Looks to be a voluntary retirement in the pits for Mr. Steen. That will at least mean that we won't have to have any form of caution period. So thank you to Mr. Steen for that. Getting the car around to the pit lane. Ginger Tiger, new fastest lap of 38.667. Will that wait? No, because Simon Palmer goes faster still. Simon Palmer's consistently been the fastest guy on track several laps here. I don't know if consistency across every lap beats the likes of Ginger Tiger, who's now got a 3.4 second gap over Joe Hamster. He's doing everything he can, and he knows he needs the fastest lap as well tonight. He needs everything he can get out of this car and this race in terms of points. So just under a second now, Ivan Beloff behind Office Red. Keza has closed again to Cool 132. Now, it should be the case that you don't get DRS trains without the use of DRS, but it also means that you don't get the advantage of using DRS either as the chasing car. So the drivers, as I say, really trying to just put the pressure on and wait for a mistake from the guy in front. Also using the ERS, of course, is highly important. Let's have a quick look then at Ivan Beloff. He's hovering around the 90%, hardly unusual for Ivan Beloff, which is more than Office Red, so he could afford to deploy a hefty amount in an attempt, and maybe that's what he will do to try and get by. Still not close enough though into Stowe for the 9th time. What about Cool 132 and Keza? Similar situation for those two, just can't get within range. The race split into a leader, a group of drivers, and then a group of drivers, and then one tail runner at the moment, which is Nitro. Really good work from everybody. Burmeister asked me to check all ERS. Well, I'm a little bit suspicious now, Burr, that you're just going to tell Kuipers the situation, but we'll do it just for the hay of it. Ivan Beloff on 100%. Simon Palmer 57. Kuipers 80. Cool 132 100. Keza 89. There we go. Ginger Tiger on 100 as well. Joe Hamster on 96 and Office Red on 64. There's not a lot to choose between them. They obviously have to delay when they can press the ERS button because they're waiting for the tyre to grip properly, and sometimes that can be well into 5th gear, and then of course they're spending longer on the brakes and longer on off throttle than they would normally as well, which all help to recharge that ERS. So in the wet conditions, and I suppose a track like Silverstone, which is not all point and squirt and brake, it's long periods of turning and lifting. Looks like Ivan Beloff on a charge now. Will he go for the move here? Office Red doesn't even put up a defense. That was pretty cool and calm, wasn't it? Good work from Office Red. He knows that Ivan Beloff, I think he knows that Ivan Beloff has got more to lose here, but Ivan Beloff perhaps suddenly starting to rush because he can see a Mercedes coming up behind him of Simon Palmer, who has been quick. He's now 138.2, again the fastest driver on track. Loving these 10-lap-old intermediates is Simon Palmer. I wonder if we'll get one of those amazing instances of a race without a pit stop for these drivers. Ginger Tiger still 3.4 seconds, I suspect, is managing the gap to Joe Hamster here. as I say, doing everything he can and holding on to whatever tyre grip he can so that he can try and get that fastest lap. Ivan Belov will not get the overlap past OfficRed on this journey into Brooklands. He seems to be so much better in the corners, but OfficRed perhaps has got a better top line speed and is able to get the traction down. You can see Ivan Belov on this beautiful helicopter cam really closing through the corners. Here he goes then to the inside, massive squirt of ERS. He presses the button prodigiously to get through and overtakes into third place now, Ivan Belov, for AlphaTauri for his own championship as well. Up to third and doing enough so far to take the championship. We're not even halfway though, just yet, as a reminder. Let me go back to everybody's predictions. What do we get? Jeremy said Cool, Ginger and Steen. Well, unlikely at this point. And Rent said Ginger, Cool and Steen. Well, yeah. Ginger could definitely take this one. He was popular, wasn't he? But and Rent says some drivers look like they're starting to cool the tyres off and having to, go onto the wet patches to try and do so. Ivan Belov is unlocking some pace now. Really pushing at the moment. We'll go and have a look at Cool 132 though, because he is the closest driver to someone in front, and he's also got Keza just behind him. The second separating 6th, 7th and 8th in total. Kuipers, Cool, Keza. Now Ivan Belov, look, he's catching Joe Hamster as well. Ginger Tiger could well do with Simon Palmer continuing to move up the field as he has done, although I'm not sure whether his tyres are going to last like everybody else's, the speed he's been running. Ivan Belov has actually closed to within a second now of Joe Hamster. Very different lines being traced through Maggots and Beckett's for Kuipers and Cool. Keza gets a penalty. Let's have a quick look at those penalties on the board. 3 seconds each for the drivers with flags on right now. And a very old-fashioned style of race that we've got going on here. No DRS, no tyre changes. Very cool to see. Just in admiration of the drivers as well for keeping the cars on track at this point. Really tricky. You can see Kuipers has gone up 6 places from his starting place. Ivan Belov up 5 up to 3rd place and a potential podium, as I've said before, which is what he needs to win this championship, so long as Ginger Tiger doesn't hold the fastest lap at the end. But he's also catching the 2nd place Joe Hamster. If my read of Ginger Tiger is right, he probably didn't enter the race thinking he was in much of a shot, but might have got excited after qualifying for a potential finish here. But Simon Palmer currently holds that fastest lap by 0.3 of a second from Ginger Tiger, and by less from Joe Hamster and Ivan Belov as well. I don't think anything's going to happen immediately between 6th, 7th and 8th, so we'll go back to having a look at our potential new champion, Ivan Belov, 0.3 behind Joe Hamster. He has recovered a fair amount of ERS and caught the driver in front. Now, while we know intermediate tyres will go the distance, they're not comfortable if the rain continues, but we are expecting dry conditions to develop some 10 or 15 minutes away from the end of the race, so perhaps around lap 18, 19 sort of time, if 10 minutes means 10 minutes in 50% race, or if 10 minutes means 5 minutes in a 50% race. I'm never really quite sure. Ginger Tiger in front then, P1 on lap 14, from Joe Hamster and Ivan Beloff, you can see on screen, chasing him down. Then OfficRed, Simon Palmer, Kuipers, Cool, Keza and Nitrogash, 9 on track at this stage in the season finale here of F2. I'll remind everybody just to make sure you subscribe to the channel to tune in to the rest of the broadcasts this week. And of course, if you've subscribed, you'll know as soon as we come back to racing. It'll be a few weeks after the release of the new game, just to make sure as many of the early game wrinkles are ironed out. Here comes Simon Palmer as well now, on the back of OfficRed, just behind this battle. So let's see if he can get himself up onto the podium to finish this season out. He's had a strong end of the season, Simon Palmer. And Ivan Beloff is going to be within range here. Not quite there, not quite close enough into Stowe. And I think it is, the rain is certainly slowing, if not stopped now, at the half point, sorry, just after the halfway point of the race. I'm not seeing the rain on screen anymore. That doesn't mean it's definitely, well, there's some spray coming off the car in front of Joe Hamster. And Simon Palmer gets a penalty. That's going to be all important here, because it's only the top 3 and the last place driver without penalties at this point. So he's just made his job an awful lot harder with a yellow flag in sector 2. I'm not sure who that was for. I didn't see any drivers in sector 2 at that point. No way through though for Ivan Beloff into Brooklands. This is where he gets very, very close. Burmeister says pit stop time. Pit stop time. I think the drivers are going to try and go until it is definitely dry conditions here, Bert. I don't know if you're getting any indication from Kuipers as to whether the track is drying, as it appears to be on my screen and your screen, of course, which is my screen. But sometimes it continues to rain a bit longer. Burmeister says Simon gone off. Well, yes, of course, he dropped behind Kuipers. Good catch, Burr, thank you. Simon having amazing pace, but perhaps needs to rein it in a little bit. Here comes Ivan Beloff now. Surely he's never been closer to Joe, who shapes to the inside. I thought that Ivan was going to go for the Mansell dummy there, but Joe gets much better drive through Stowe Corner and hangs on for one more lap. That was comment number 70 tonight. Thank you, Bert. And he says he's only watching this, he's not watching Kuipers. Okay, cool. We see going through Abbey, and the spray that comes off the back of Joe Hamster is pretty immense going through Abbey. But whether that just means that part of the track is still wet and everywhere else is fairly dry, or it's just a mistake of the coding or spectator view. Very difficult for me to give an accurate view, I'm afraid. Got another tantalising battle from 5th place, starting again. Ivan Beloff almost getting rid of that front wing on the rear of Joe Hamster's Red Bull. It's AlphaTauri versus Red Bull, but there are no sister team orders here at play. Joe Hamster, will he defend on the way into Stowe? No, not quite. This is very tight for Ivan Beloff. Why put yourself in that position? He touches the front wing on the rear of Joe Hamster, who leaves plenty of room on the inside. Very generous from Joe, because he's not fighting for the lead of the championship. He could well sweep across the front here. And Ivan Beloff, surely he's risking way too much to get past here, especially as he doesn't need to. Joe Hamster has slowed. Has Joe got a puncture? Well, Joe seemingly slowed and let Ivan Beloff through. Is he just saying, well, Ivan, you're clearly going to batter me out the way, so you might as well have the place? But that looked a bit odd from Joe. Did he miss a gear on the way out of the corner? Did he feel like he might be struggling with a puncture? But he's just let Ivan Beloff off quite easy, hasn't he? Ivan Beloff, I'm surprised that front wing is still working. I'm sure he's touched another driver's rear of the car 3 or 4 times just when I've been watching. So what is Joe doing? Is he just saying, well, you're going for a championship, trying to do the honourable thing? Down the inside of Kuipers tries Simon Palmer into Farm, and then Village around the outside. He didn't quite get the switchback he was hoping for out of that corner, but he's also going to be fairly careful on the back there. Burmeister saying possibly this is about championship respect. And Rent says he should have let him go earlier. Well, my view on it is that a champion, that someone going for a championship deserves no favours, and that getting through traffic and dealing with that situation of having more to lose is part of the champion's journey. And also Joe didn't even need to give him that place, because Ivan still could have won the championship in third place. I don't know. I'm confused slightly by Joe. I think there's respect, and then there's being a doormat perhaps, but we will have to talk about that after the race. Simon Palmer right on the back of Kuipers once again. Ivan Belov starting to cut into the lead of Ginger Tiger, and Joe got a penalty on that lap going into Vale, I think, and there's a new fastest lap from Ivan Belov as well. Burmeister says Ivan did well because he waited in the position that Verstappen was into Copse, because he was on the Hamilton inside line, wasn't he? No, you're right, he was on the outside. So he's seen what happens to a Red Bull on that corner. Again, Simon Palmer gets really close, and then again a tiny mistake and it goes wrong. Nitrogash has gone in the pits. Is he gambling on a dry tyre here? That could be very important, because we've got the switch over to dry tyres and the timing of your pit stop to come. And as Burmeister says, DRS just been enabled, so that means that the drivers will take that as a clear indication that they can get on their way. Will Simon Palmer actually enjoy a bit of DRS though before that happens? Nitro has gone for soft tyres, so check out his gap, 47 seconds to the back of Cool 132. He's going to have himself a hell of an outlap here. If he can keep it on the island, he will gain a lot of those seconds back. It's 53 seconds as he finally comes out of the pits. Remember, Ginger Tiger's still in the lead of this one. Ivan Belov in second place. I'm sure he'd love to finish this with a win, but there's no need. And Joe Hamster, as I predicted, someone's catching a penalty on the way into the pits. Both the championship leaders stay out on the intermediate tyres for an extra lap. Is that a mistake? They've got a little bit of a delta to work with here. They've got a bit of wiggle room. Keza and Simon Palmer might end up queuing in the pits here, as might OfficRed, or they've just dealt with it in time for Simon Palmer. Just dealt with Keza on time. So gap to leader, let's check that out, because that's really important now. Ginger Tiger 4.7 seconds, 17 seconds it is to Keza, but will the outlaps from the new soft runners be good enough to go? Keza seemingly, he did stay out as well. Keza stayed out, so Keza P3 has stayed out. It's 34 seconds and change to Joe Hamster then, who was in third position here, but he's just got that penalty as well. So a big problem for Joe. Adds to the profit that Ginger Tiger and Ivan Belov have got over the rest of the field. They have no penalties, nothing to lose here. And you can see Nitro has shaved 32 seconds off his gap by pitting first in 9th place there. He's just shaved 32 seconds in one lap off Cool 132. Tremendous stuff. Really making use of those tyres. Ivan Belov has got the gap down to 4 seconds as the two leaders come into the pits now. In the pits they come. And where will that leave Keza, Joe Hamster and OfficRed on their way out of the pits? Well, Keza into the pits, excuse me. So Joe with an extra 5-second penalty to pay, as well as the 3 he'd already accrued. I don't think he's going to be in contention for a podium here tonight, but we will see some places swapping around Simon Palmer gets Kuipers into Stowe corner. Now they've got these dry tyres on, and DRS can start making moves much faster. And there, in fact, have a look at this. Joe did get Ivan Beloff on the way out of the pits. So Joe has got track position on Ivan Beloff. OfficRed is behind Ivan. How will Joe be feeling now he's been had some contact with Ivan Beloff from being overtaken once before? Joe's actually going for the lead here on 1 lap old soft tyres against Ginger Tiger. Nitro, new fastest lap for the 9th place driver, a 32.5, and he's cut his deficit by a further 4 seconds as Nitro on that lap. So Joe, quarter of a second behind the championship leader. I wonder, you know, is Joe playing favourites here, coming up on championship contender after he lay down for Ivan Beloff previously? He's just blasting through past Ginger Tiger, who's still trying to get those soft tyres up to temperature, and Joe takes the lead on track with an 8-second penalty. Maybe he's in a different mood now with those penalties. He thinks, I'm going to go for it, but that was very different treatment for the 2 championship contenders from Joe Hamster. Could he be kingmaker here tonight? He gets a new fastest lap of 30.7 on the board, and Ivan Beloff is 3.3 seconds behind Ginger Tiger now, with OfficRed and Simon Palmer, I think, starting to catch Ivan, although with penalties on the board as well. Fascinating 5 laps to go at the end of this F2 championship. A reminder that Ginger Tiger needs to outscore Ivan by 5 clear points, sorry, by 6 points to win this race outright for the title. At the moment, it's not looking there, with only 2 points between second and third. Kuipers has left the session and has DNF'd, and he's DNF'd in the pits. So 8 cars remain. I thought Kuipers might be in with a shout of some good points tonight. I'm not quite sure what became of Kuipers, unfortunately. I don't know if that will mean we will lose Burmeister from the live chat. But Joe Hamster leads this race. And now Ginger Tiger, you can see, has got the tyres back up to temperature, the kind of operating window that Joe was in earlier. And is trying to open out the gap to Ivan Beloff, potentially get that place back from Joe Hamster. Ben says, as long as Ginger scores, Aston win the Constructors. Well, that's a good shout, Ben. I think he'll be obviously keeping one eye on that, and it'd be a great consolation prize. But right now, I'm sure Ginger's focus is on the potential for a driver's title here. I have to say, I'm somewhat surprised that his helmet isn't ginger and tigery, that it's neon yellow instead of what I would expect to be orange. But that's by the by. This is the closest battle on the track between the 2 leaders on track here. Joe Hamster just 1 second ahead of Ginger Tiger. Then comes Ivan Beloff, 3 seconds back, 2.5 seconds further back, OfficRed. Then Simon Palmer, Cool 132, Keza and Nitrogash make out your remaining drivers on the track. Brent says Ginger is really on the verge of track limits. Yeah, absolutely. Well, he has to push. He has to do everything possible. We'll have another look at telemetry, shall we? 68 for Ginger, 35 for Joe, and 55, surprisingly enough, for Ivan Beloff back there in 3rd place. Brent says, will it be decided on penalties? Well, Ivan now has a 3-second penalty he's picked up. So Ginger can breathe slightly easier here. But the thing is that Ivan Beloff won't slip back past anybody behind him because they've all got more. So Ginger, the only driver with nitro without a penalty so far. Brent says, regardless how this goes, Ivan's had a good comeback race. From 8th on the grid. Absolutely didn't get the job done in quali as the track dried up. Ginger absolutely did. You have to say he's done virtually everything he could possibly do tonight. He will need that fastest lap. He will need a win where Ivan Belov currently sits. But both drivers have suffered contact with Ben Roberts in the last 2 races. Ivan did have a bad spell in the previous 2 races as well, being hit by various Alfa Romeos. So he has felt pretty hard done by on the tail end of this championship. I'm not sure I could say either of them are particularly far ahead on the luck quotient, whether it has in fact evened itself out. Simon Palmer, 4/10, 3/10 behind OfficRed with the DRS on the way into Stowe. Should be easy enough, but it's getting done on the brakes. Wow, great drive from OfficRed around the outside of Stowe to hold off Simon Palmer once again. Now Ivan Belov is just 1.7 seconds behind Ginger Tiger here. And Ben says he had to even things out. Yeah, okay. It's all deliberate, isn't it, Ben? At various times, it's deliberate or it's accidental. Simon Palmer 3/10 now back behind OfficRed after that attempt into Stowe. Be looking to get the car underneath himself again for another challenge. He's got very little ERS left to go with here. Down to Brooklands he goes though. He's given the inside from OfficRed, who tries the switch back to absolutely expert level. OfficRed will still be in contention on the exit of Luffield. Wow, right round the outside again. Does OfficRed know his way around this track, or does OfficRed know his way around this track? Fantastic stuff from Alfa Romeo here. Ginger back under a second, but Ivan Belov stalking from behind here as well. Keep an eye on the gaps. Try not to miss anything, but I'm sure I won't ever hear at the end of it if I miss Simon Palmer overtaking people. Here he goes. Another attempt then on OfficRed, much further alongside this time, and into Stowe he goes, well ahead. Should be comfortable here to finish the lap out and start to stretch away. Yeah, masterful defence. Sokol's rents as well from OfficRed. Delaying the inevitable maybe, but got his sponsors on screen, didn't he? Which is half of the game for teams such as Alfa Romeo. Nice little bonus for him post-race. So Ginger now feeling the need to get a move on here behind Joe. He can see, he'll know Ivan Belov is behind him on track. He'll know he's got no rear gunner anymore to help him win this championship. It's mano a mano. 96 comments. Let's see who will get the who will get the 100th comment tonight. Always good to see. Really, really grateful for everybody with your comments. Ginger getting closer on the way through Maggots and Beckett's. Is this the moment? 3/10 back. We go for a defence here. Joe sweeps around the outside. Doesn't let him go like he did Ivan Belov. Maybe Ginger needs to nerf Joe in the back a couple of times. That seemed to do the trick, didn't it, earlier in the race. But with one lap to go, as he crosses the line now, Joe continues to lead on track. Ginger will have the lead of the race after penalties, but it's not enough at this stage to beat out Ivan Belov's overall championship score. I don't know if Ginger feels like having a go on the final lap. He's got a lot more ERS, so I think he'll be saving it all for Hanger and the way out of Chapel. Let's just see, what has Ivan got, who closes up as well. He's got 18%, so if anyone's got anything to fight with, it's going to be Ginger Tiger at the end of this one. I think everybody put on soft tyres, didn't they? Let's just check that. Yeah, everyone on soft tyres. Good. Good to see. So a nice fair fight here. No safety cars tonight. No major race-altering strategy decisions to make. All about tyre wear, all about ERS management. And let's see what Ginger has got on the last run through the fast sweeping Maggots and Beckett's on the way through Chapel now. Slam your finger on the ERS button and spend it all. You can see the car in front below 10%. Down to the inside line he goes for the final overtake attempt. Into Stowe corner he goes. Joe trying to hang on around the outside, runs wide. Joe, don't spoil it. As now Ginger Tiger comes round the final corner, the only driver in the top 7 to not accrue a penalty. And Ginger Tiger finishes the season on a high. He wins the race here in Great Britain. But Ivan Beloff will win the title with 2nd place overall. A tremendous race and very cleanly fought between the title rivals. Joe Hamster gets on the podium in 3rd place, so I'm glad I'll be able to talk to him. Keza got the fastest lap, so that doesn't factor. Ivan Beloff has done enough to win this championship on the final time of asking around here, around Britain, and OfficRed in P4. We've got Simon Palmer in 5th with a dramatic and spotty type of pace race from him. And I'll take you through the rest of the standings when we get there. But really, really good. We stuck on 98 comments, guys. Ivan Beloff with the driver of the day performance, 8th to 2nd. Tough to argue with. I'm pretty sure that one will be nailed on Ivan Beloff with that one. So brilliant work by the driver with the most wins as well. But tonight's win was all about Ginger Tiger clinching it on the final lap, final overtaking point on the circuit. Sprays the champagne. It is it's a refreshment, but it's cold consolation for losing the title. But 2nd place is definitely not to be sniffed at. We've got 3 great drivers on the podium who I'd love to speak to at the end of the race, and tremendous stuff. So Ginger Tiger wins the race on the road without penalties. A nice clean race as well from him. Then you've got Ivan Beloff in 2nd place, clinching the championship. I feel almost certain about. I can't see there have been an incident too deep into that one to affect Ivan's points. Then Joe Hamster in 3rd, who will be on his way to the comms box, thankfully. And then we've got OfficRed in 4th, Simon Palmer. 5th, Cool 132, Keza, Nitro, Kuipers and Mr. Steen. Fastest lap goes to Keza, but Mr. Steen, Ben Robertson, Smoke didn't make it to the end of the race. Neither did Kuipers, in fact. He had a DNF. But there are your finishing order.